Okay, so I'd like to introduce you to, so I'm David, obviously, and this is Millie. We're from HG Technology, based in the UK. So we're going to go through our slides. So one of the things, obviously, we're not great at talking, so I'm going to pass on to Millie, and she's going to explain why you've got something in your hands, hopefully, and what we're doing.
So good afternoon. The success story that we're going to talk about today is a Resco inspections implementation project. We have passed out a couple of cards. As we're an English partner, we've actually popped a few little English phrases throughout our speech today. They're all written on the cards. Should the phrase that we say come up in the talk, feel free to just flash the number to our little glamorous assistant, and he'll put you in a hat, and then a couple of you will win a little prize at the end. The prize is from a local artist. We've got a couple of prints off of a local guy. So yeah, it's the end of the day. We thought we'd try and keep you engaged as much as possible. We don't do that much public speaking. You could say we're a bit of a fish out of water. So the more participation from the audience, the better. So anyway, we've got quite a few slides.
So somebody here should have fish out of water on their card. And if you want to win a prize, you need Mikkel to be able to see your number. So please raise it. So this one's obviously a test. So we're hoping that somewhere there'll be.
It's okay. We can keep the prizes if not.
Yeah, we like the prizes. We'll show you them at the end.
So anyway, without further ado, we've got quite a handful of slides to get through. We've got about a baker's dozen. So let's get the ball rolling.
Oh. Oh, and another. Okay. So we're HG Technology, as said. We've been going for about 12 years. We're a UK provider, and we're a technology consultancy. And the emphasis really is on consultancy rather than technology. So we try and talk to people first, and then the solution may not be technology, it may be something else. And I think we've talked about that during the day, about dealing with people. So as I said, we've been going for 12 years. Primarily, we're in the UK, but we also do work in Italy, or we've got customers in Italy, in France, in Germany, and Ireland, and we also do work in the Middle East and Switzerland. So for us, really, we see the world as our oyster. So that's what we've got. Our core market is property and real estate. And I was doing a quick tot-up, although this is slightly biased as it's heavily weighted on one, but our customers have their market capitalizations over 100 billion. So we've got some very high-value real estate companies that we deal with. We'll also work in pharmaceutical, and we'll also do services and other consultancy services. But predominantly, it's property, which we'll come back to as we go through while we're with Resco. So, me again. Oh, yep, got another one, Mikkel. So we're approached by Resco, so originally by Sophia and with Petra, and they convinced us that, that working with Resco was a good idea. So really for us, we saw Resco as an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. And the reason for that is that we're in the property business, and there seemed to be a lot of opportunity for that. So for our current clients, but in addition, we think Resco is a great door opener to go and talk to new people. So it's a really good product with us. So I hope you're ready. Okay, so once we got certified with Resco, we got up and running, and now we're firing on all cylinders, and with all systems go, Resco inspections and field service.
So our success story specifically is to do with Breeding Group. Breeding Group are actually worth over €1 billion. They have 3,500 employees and over 300 sites across the UK and Ireland. They're actually the leading construction material group in Great Britain, so they're quite hard. They're quite good to work with. They're quite a large company. They do say that those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, but if you choose to, Breeding would be more than happy to provide you with the stones. So how did the project begin? Breedon actually decided to pilot Resco inspections internally. So they purchased a handful of licenses, they created a few very basic inspections and went out on site and inspected their equipment. They decided that it was the right software for them, but they didn't have the time or the technical knowledge to go ahead and implement it. So they actually got in touch with Giuseppe, who I don't think is here this weekend. But they decided to bite the bullet. Giuseppe really helped us to seal the deal, and then we were away with it, and the project began. With any project that we start, we really like to have face-to-face, one-on-one meetings with our clients. I think the main thing is we're a consultancy firm at heart. We don't just like providing our customers with an off-the-shelf product. We want to go in, and this has come up several times in Justin's speeches and whatnot, we want to work with the end user and provide them a software that is going to be beneficial and is going to save them time and money, and they're actually going to end up using. So they were a little bit reluctant to begin with. They didn't really want to dedicate the time. They're very busy people. But after a little bit of persuasion, we went in and they really did see the benefit. So the whole project has been a mixture of in-person, off-site, via Teams, in the office, whenever suits them, pretty much whenever they can make the time.
I think the thing on there that we really emphasise is the face-to-face and the human interaction. Probably shouldn't have said that then. But that's really how we run our business and how we think this is a success. And we'll come on to that as we go through. So really, I mean, for Breeden, certainly the cement works. We've seen the pen and paper, and they were stuck in the past. So there's been a big opportunity for us, and again, with Resco, to move them forward and to move them into digital age. So they go around their plant and they inspect, and moving from pen and paper has been a real big benefit. So the way that that's been a change was that previously they would do their pen and paper and write their forms, and then they'd have to scan them, and then they'd send them. But the thing is, have to scan, do they get round to it, and then do they send it? And so they had other people externally relying on it, so they had auditors and also that. So that's been a real kind of big immediate benefit from them. And they've been really very, 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 very happy with the system. So so it's gone really well.
So why was this project in particular such a success? Humbly, we think there's a few different reasons, but one of them was our consultative approach, which has been touched on all throughout the day. But the main thing is we work with our client, and no two groups, even within Breeden, were the same. We couldn't create the same app project for two teams. It just didn't work. So being in there, on site, working with them, working out what was beneficial, what saved them time, different aspects that they needed, it was what really helped them see the benefit of the application. And of course, the Resco features themselves that saves them loads of time. So for instance, the managers wanted to know when there was an issue immediately. So now whenever an issue is marked on a questionnaire somewhere, we send an email. Well, the automation sends an email. So managers are notified immediately of an issue, where the issue is, the picture that's tagged with the information, whether it's been resolved, all of the possible information that the managers might ever need to know. They also had a bit of an issue with all of their data. So inspectors came to us and they said, when we're on site, we get inundated with loads of information on our app, and we don't want to scroll through it all. We said, that's fine. We'll make you your own app configuration. So each department, I believe, now has its own app configuration, and it just means that they don't have to spend 20 minutes finding the right piece of equipment or finding the relevant information. It's all just there and in front of them. For instance, they also were filling out the wrong questionnaires. So back when it was pen and paper, they were filling out makeshift questionnaires, the content was wrong, they were missing really important things. So we've associated the questionnaire to the pieces of equipment using the association feature. All that means is now when they find the relevant piece of equipment they're inspecting, the correct questionnaire is there, it saves them time, it saves them brain energy, and it just means they actually do the right questionnaire when they're on site. I think it's safe to say as well, we've all been in communication throughout the whole project, whether it's us, it's Resco, it's Breeden themselves, we've all been talking constantly. So in a nutshell, we do actually have a really happy client.
Okay, so now we're going to try and delve a bit more into really what does success look like, and how how do we see that as this kind of process or this project as success. So I mean, there's a number of things. There's the obvious thing of license revenue and implementation revenue. So, we've got that. I think, the fundamental first thing is the happy client, so we've talked about that. But then we've also got lots of, opportunity for additional revenue. And we've got that really, again, from the face-to-face and from being involved and being up there and talking to them. So I just wanted to talk, we'll talk very quickly about the 3 additional things that we've also done there. But we'll try not to get too bogged down in the detail. So we're going to go through that. And also I will try and rattle through where we're going there with that. So that's the plan. So the 3 things that we've done in addition to that is that we've worked with Power BI reporting. We'll touch on that very quickly. We've also done SharePoint integration with Resco, and that following on from where we were saying about the auditors and the connection with that has been really very, very useful, and I think you'll talk about that a little bit more. I always say too much on that. And then the final third thing, again, we'll touch on very briefly, is integration, and in this case with SAP, and again, I think you're on that one. So those are the 3 kind of opportunities of additional revenue. So the very first one is Power BI is great. Saying is, picture paints 1,000 words. And the thing on here is, what we've got on here is this is a slightly modified version of what we've done. So some of the things on there are what they have and some aren't. But the thing that I like, although I haven't really kind of gone through fully with them, is that what we're doing when we're doing the questionnaires is they've got substations. And on the substation there, we're saying on this chart here that B415 and B33 and A33, they're fine. But we have an issue with A, and we can see that on the screen. So we're seeing that. There's lots of nice things that we could do with Power BI. But the other thing as well that we were talking about earlier on, or that people were talking about earlier on, is about integrating that within Resco. So the admin people go into Resco, and they see this as if it's part of the Resco thing. So they're not going out somewhere else or looking anywhere else. They're just seeing all of the product, seeing all of the things that they need to see there. So that, this has been a nice kind of additional revenue opportunity for us, and something that we can build on in terms of alerting, reporting, as well as kind of continuing with the Resco questionnaires.
So the success was also partly down to the SharePoint integration. Having gone from pen and paper to digital inspections already, Breeden had moved miles ahead, but they wanted to be able to store their questionnaires somewhere for both internal and external needs. So internally, they need historical data. They do trending and graphs and predictions and whatnot. And for external auditors, they need to be able to send companies inspection information at the drop of a hat when someone comes in to inspect and audit them. So what we actually did, when an inspection is completed, of course, first it gets saved to the Resco cloud. That's just inspections feature. But then what we've done is we've used Power Automate to extract that completed questionnaire, turn it into a PDF, and then save it in SharePoint. If it needs to, the flow can actually create a new folder for the piece of equipment they're inspecting. I won't bore you with the details. This is the business track. But basically now, whenever Breeden do need a historical piece of anything, whether it's a number, whether it's facts and figures, they're all stored there in SharePoint for whenever they need them. Conventional wisdom does actually say not to put all of your eggs in one basket, but we've ignored that, and we've put all of their questionnaires in SharePoint, as we do trust Microsoft. And lastly is the SAP integration. So Breeden use SAP or SAP to store all of their equipment data. Once we went in, and again, once we spoke to the inspectors and the users of the app, they made it very clear that they didn't want to use 2 apps, i.e. they didn't want to have to use Resco for inspections and SAP for equipment data. So we said, that's fine. We have integrated the 2. So now what we actually do is we pull out all of their equipment data, we put it into Resco, and then we utilize the tree entity to replicate a structure that they already had in SAP. So it's not like users have had to learn a new system, learn a new structure. This is all completely familiar to them. It's also not just smoke and mirrors. They follow this structure. And again, because of association that I mentioned before, they can find the relevant questionnaire just by clicking on the name of the equipment, sorry. So this saves them a world of time. They have about 3,000 pieces of equipment. So without this structure, they would be there for days.
So potentially, I mean, that would save on SAP licensing as well as they're just using the Resco app, and we're pulling everything through. So there's benefits for that. So why was this project a success for Resco? So obviously on there we've talked about the license revenue, but the other thing as well, and you know, the critical thing for us in what we do is we want a happy client. And by getting a happy client, you know, we're then going to get case studies and references. So really, it's a win-win. It's great for us and it's great for Resco. So that's been really good. But also, I mean, the thing that we're struggling with Breeden is Breeden, we have one site. They have 300 sites, and we've done one. We've probably done their biggest, but there are 300 more. So stealing what Ivan had said earlier on, the sky's the limit for this, for our opportunities just within that company alone. So you know, we're trying now to kind of push that out and get, you know, a lot more, you know, again, so that's, you know, large opportunity for revenue for Resco and also obviously for us. So yeah, it's, you know, it's really exciting.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Our glamorous assistant will now pull a couple of numbers.
So this is the bit that you've been waiting for.